Straddling the eastern edge of Australia like a naturally occurring seismic barricade against both precipitation making it into the Australian inland from the eastern seaboard and to boat people, the Great Dividing Range comes closer to the coastline in southeast Queensland than almost anywhere else on the continent. The Great Escarpment, sitting between the Great Dividing Range and the east coast, meets the Great Divide at this point only, and at this collection of geological phenomena, a stunning demonstration and diversity of landscapes and nature takes place. On the eastern side, the Lamington National Park is home to a variety of macropod species. A macropod is an animal of the same broader family as the kangaroo, and includes wallabies, larger kangaroo species, and smaller species such as paddymmelons or potoroos. The word macropod comes from the Latin mac, referring to the computer, a rope, a wiry substance fashioned from twine and other such natural fibres, and the word odd. The strange combination of a hopping gait, large size, and interestingly the most ideal drug-smuggling bodily organ known to science, the marsupial's pouch, reminded early settlers of as weird and arbitrary a combination of ideas as Mac computers and rope, which they then termed odd. Mac, rope, odd. Macro also means big and pod means foot, but they figured that out later. The lower, drier reaches of the forest are home to whiptail wallabies, also known as pretty-face wallabies. These macropods are sick of only being recognised for their appearance and regularly host suffrage rallies. Grazing the Highland Hills is one of the smallest macropod species, the red-necked paddymmelon. These can be seen mostly at dawn and dusk, otherwise known as peak hour, because they love becoming road casualties. Cars hit them most easily at the forest fringes, which ironically could also be called the forest bangs. The bird life of the Scenic Grin is dazzling. One of the most ubiquitous members of this brigade is the king parrot. It feeds on seeds, grains and fruits, with the males a deep crimson and the females a dark green. Both sexes are called king parrots. Another reason we should get rid of the monarchy. The Albert's lyrebird, a lesser-known species to the more widespread superb lyrebird, is also a master mimic, borrowing its calls from the sounds of its surroundings, even being able to mimic the sounds of desk lamps or the cries of an orphan in a terrarium. That was a controversial piece of research, but we got there in the end. As foraging insectivores, they stir up the leaf litter to reveal invertebrates that they may eat, keeping their heads perfectly still as they do so. The regent bowerbird is in many ways the faunal emblem of Lamington National Park. Males collect white objects and decorate display areas to attract mates. It's one of the most metrosexual proving grounds in the animal world. It's also the reason why, when regarding coastal populations of these birds, coral bleaching might not actually be such a bad thing. But no, someone has to lose. Lamington National Park has many things, including trees. In the higher elevations, the forest becomes dominated by the gnarled trunks of the anarchist bitch tree. Right, yes, no, that's not what that's called. Rain and mist-dependent moss clings to the trunks of these gossipy old trees that disapprovingly glance you up and down, muttering something about sending you a pair of tweezers and a set of links to demi-lacto-glucose Levados, vegan sandal and other footwear brands or something. These forests once coated much of the mainland of Australia, when the continent was much further south and cooler. With Australia's northward drifts, they were forced to the higher, wetter elevations. Whoa! Mount Barney is the next in a chain of mountains stretching inland as a semicircle around the Scenic Rim. The peaks found in the park, including Barney's Twin Peaks, are the central remains of the ancient Focal Peak Shield volcano, which erupted somewhere between 24 million and 6 years ago, give or take 8. A relatively common tree type in Mount Barney's drier forest is the Allocasuarina tree, the seeds of which comprise the sole food source for the threatened glossy black cockatoo. They are threatened by habitat loss, therefore, given that they rely on a resource that is easily lost. As a result, it is postulated that children who refuse to eat nuts aren't allergic or fussy so much as just frightened of becoming reliant on something that will later cause the extinction of their species. Fair enough really, screw kidney beans. Glossy black cockatoos mate for life, so this male and female, the female identifiable by her yellow head markings, would likely have raised many chicks before this one. The juvenile, still unsteady with its digits and strong bill in navigating the seed pods, is seen here receiving the gift of seed chunder, like a biblical patriarchal blessing from the father, while the mother hand manufactures twine for sheets and clothing and things from the pod fibers, before getting ready for bed and systematic oppression for the coming 6 or 7 millennia. I will rewrite your dream and bring your mind right again. Mount Barney National Park is dominated by its rocky topography the way that preschool students and the Sunday Mail are dominated by illiteracy. The rocky habitat provides the perfect haunt for one of southeast Queensland's most charismatic animals and nationally important populations, that of the brush-tailed rock wallaby. Rock wallabies' densely padded feet, along with their long, brushy tail, frankly an amazing coincidence for something called a brush-tailed anything, that was lucky, fortunately it actually had one, make it superbly adept at navigating tricky, rocky terrain. Rock wallabies spend their lonesome days alone in one of a few specific rocky shelters, each of which they will defend and frequent for many years, until too many nihilist, painful memories of moments slowly slipping into a crippling, introspective abyss have become associated with that place, and they become emotionally and psychologically evicted out of their own homes.
Listen to this.
Mount Barney's twin peaks form a literal centerpiece to the Scenic Rim, the way that David Lynch's did to the TV drama season from 1990 to 1991, and the way that mine form bookends to my wow tattoo when I bend over. Finally, the western edge of the Scenic Rim is the Main Range National Park. Peaks Mount Cordo and Mount Mitchell flank Cunningham's Gap, while further south the highest mountain in southeast Queensland, Mount Superbus, soars to 1,375 metres. For some perspective, that is approximately 1.453376 E-13 light years above sea level. This northward running chain of mountains marks the Great Dividing Range, where the rest of the Scenic Rim consisted of the Great Escarpment. West of the Great Divide, brush-tail possums are common species, feeding mainly on leaves, fruit or flowers, which literally contain antefeedants. The rufous bettong is a small macropod species, chronically afflicted with ridiculously malproportioned hands. In the night of these highland forests, the detection of a rare predator causes prey to scatter with great immediacy, the spotted-tailed quoll. The Australian native equivalent of a cat in radiation therapy so that its hair colour has changed and the genes determining its jaw structure decide to rearrange themselves as a tribute to that adventurous, all too short-lived door hinge meme, the quoll is the largest carnivorous marsupial on the mainland of Australia. Starting with Main Range National Park in the west, moving through Mount Barney and into the rainforest of Lamington National Park in the east, the upside-down frown of the Scenic Rim is a World Heritage listed piece of mountainous fencing. But these are just the centerpieces. The Scenic Rim is littered with small wonders the way that your car seat is coated with glitter for decades after your Insta-famous friend's 18th birthday party. It's a backyard but for 3 million people. In fact, I'm working on a trampoline that can fit that many people on it. It'll be up in July. Sorry. Keep going. And I still haven't gone to bed. I did this instead. One alive, the other older, dead.